Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video, I want to show you how to go from being broke to having financial abundance. Now, I want to preface this video by saying two things. One, I am not a financial advisor, like a certified financial anything really. I'm just talking about my experience and the things that I've learned that I've applied to my life. Two, most of the knowledge that I'm going to give you in this video, it doesn't come from just my own personal experience. It's come from me learning things from people who are higher level than me, applying those things to my own life, seeing that they've actually worked. And now I'm teaching it to you because I wanted to use it to help you, hopefully improve your life, improve the quality of your life, and so you can have some more financial abundance. So let's just get started. So the equation to having more financial abundance is very, very simple. It really just comes down to income minus your expenses. It's really all it comes down to. If you have more income and it outweighs your expenses, you're going to have more financial abundance. If your expenses are equal to the amount of income that you have, you're just going to be stagnating. And if you have more expenses than you have income, well, you're in a deficit and you're probably in a lot of trouble. So, a way that I like to imagine it that makes it very simple to understand is imagining it like a bucket. This bucket is like the amount of your financial life, essentially. And your income, you can imagine like a little faucet here, a little drum faucet, kind of trash, but you get the point. This is your income, these little drips that go into this bucket. And then your expenses are like having a little hole in the bottom, this leak. This is what your expenses are. So if you want to have financial abundance, there's really two main levers, the income and your expenses. Now, in order to increase the amount of income that you have, there's two major ways to go about doing it. One is when it comes to your skills, and the other is when it comes to using the money that you already have to make more money. So if you are broke, if you don't have like a lot of financial abundance, what you want to focus a lot of your attention is on skill. But first, I'm going to talk about using money to make more money, like investments, because this is what a lot of people focus their attention on. They see the idea of investing in like, especially compound interest. This is something that I focus a lot of my attention on. I was like, oh yeah, the idea of compound interest is awesome, because if I just invest even a small amount over a long enough period of time, in like 30, 40 years, I'm going to have like $1 million and I'll be financially free and it's going to be amazing. And while that is true, and while compound interest is amazing, and I definitely recommend that you take advantage of it, the problem is that it takes way too much time. And I see it now more as something to use on the back end rather than like as the main attack. What will give you far more leverage and help you to accrue financial abundance way faster in your life is actually just to focus on your skills. Now with your skills, this can manifest in a whole bunch of different ways. Like if you're starting at the very low end, like say you're going like the 9-to-5 route and using your skills, something like working at Burger King or McDonald's, when you use the skill and learn the skill of being able to flip burgers or like do the customer service, talk to customers, take orders and whatever, you're using those skills and the company is paying you for the value that they get from you using those skills. And that's how you like get that amount of wage. Even if you go to a higher level where say you're in a tech job where you have more like advanced computer skills or whatever skills, you're still being paid for your skills. And basically the more skill that you have and the more that you use it, the more that you can communicate that value, the more that you will be paid, the higher income that you can get. And this isn't just limited to the 9-to-5 route. Like if you go out and say you have like a business, right? If you learn the skills of being able to market, you learn the skills of being able to do this very specific thing, like say it's artistry, right? Say you're a very good artist. If you have good enough marketing skills, you use those marketing skills and you target a certain audience and use those skills and you teach, say, people who really want to learn how to be good at art, you can charge a lot of money and make a lot of income just by teaching the skill to people. And there's a whole bunch of different ways, but basically what I want you to understand is that especially if you're a broke person and you want to accrue a lot of income, it's far more important that you focus on your skills rather than just investments and like trying to have your money make money. Because here's the thing, with a lot of investments, what is most common, you'll get like a 5 to 10% like return every single year. So say you have $100. If you invest $100, you'll get 110 in 1 year, then 121 the next year, and then it just keeps going. And that is good, but it's just not fast enough, and it's not enough to create the level of financial abundance that will keep most people comfortable, essentially, or more than comfortable, in a place that they actually want to be ideally. But with skills, it's very different, because a low level skill, it may not, get you that much income. But if you have a very high level skill, you can actually have a lot of leverage. If you have a good enough skill of, say, marketing and like having sales or whatever, you could turn something like $100 into $500. Like, it's not unheard of. It's not impossible. I've done something very similar to this, and I'm going to keep doing it. And it just makes making money a lot easier. Now, the place where using your money to make money makes a lot more sense is if you already have a huge amount, which is probably not you if you're watching this video. But say you already have $1 million and you invest all of that, and you're making 10%. Well, that every single year, that's $100,000, and that's a pretty substantial amount of money. But since you don't have that big amount yet, you can still invest and have your money work for you. But it's going to serve you way more to use your actual skills to make money, because it's just a lot higher leverage. But anyways, that's when it comes to your income. When it comes to your expenses, this is where a lot of people get choked up. Because a lot of us, we know that we have these expenses, and a lot of them we probably don't really need to be doing. And especially when I was younger, I knew that I had to, do things like budget if I wanted to, keep the money that I was actually earning. But it was so hard to do it, because what I was taught is pretty much, okay, with the budget, or this is what I did. When I learned about budgeting, what I do is I created this spreadsheet. Pretty much every time I spend money, I'd put it into the spreadsheet and do a little automatic calculation, and it'd say, okay, this is how much money that you have left to spend within this month, and that's how I'd pretty much go about it. But it was super hard to stick to that, because psychologically, I just didn't want to constantly have to pull up this thing. It was just a nightmare to do budgeting, and I didn't know how to do it. What helped me so much more to keep my expenses at bay was to instead reframe it from budgeting to allocation, and using a specific strategy in that to just make it a lot easier. I can explain it better on the whiteboard probably. So basically, you have this income, this little faucet. It's dripping into this bucket. What a lot of people do is they have one bucket. In this bucket, say it's a bank account. You have one bank account, all of your money goes into this bank account. So then whenever you want to spend something, you look at this bank account, you look at what's left in there. If you have enough, okay, I'll buy it. If you don't have enough, okay, I don't buy it. And that's the way that you go about it. What I found is so much more effective in being able to actually manage your finances and not overspend when you don't want to, is to, instead of having just a singular bucket, a singular bank account, you have multiple different bank accounts, multiple different buckets to put into. So when you have this income, instead of just going into one bucket, it's being allocated into many different ones and being spread apart. It may not make sense to you immediately, how impactful this is. I didn't really see the significance of it when I first learned it, but once I actually started to implement it, I was like, wow, this actually works. Basically, I use 6 different buckets, 6 different bank accounts, or not really 6 different bank accounts, because there's a little bit of difference. You'll understand once I explain it. Pretty much just 6 different allocations of where I put money. One is for charity. Another one is for investments. Another one is for enterprise, or your side hustle, entrepreneurship, whatever. Another one is for your needs. Another one is savings, and then your wants. I have 6 different buckets. You can have a different amount of buckets, but I'm just going to explain this because I think it's the most simple way to do it. With charity, I give 10% of all of my income to charity. Charitable causes, whatever, whether it's like giving gifts or like donating to like some charity that I think is important. And especially doing this when I was broke, when I like had very little amount of money, it was very hard to do this. But the thing that I've learned and the thing that I was taught is that when you give, you get back. Like, I don't know how exactly to explain it, but when you give to others, you pretty much reinforce to your brain that there is abundance and that you can give. You come from the place of giving, and it just allows you and creates more motivation to earn more. It's very difficult to give and like want to give, especially when you feel like you don't have enough. But I promise you, when you do end up giving, it changes the psychology that you have and makes it so much easier and gives you like a better perspective on like your finances. But anyways, 10% goes to charity. Another 10% will go to investing. This investing is not necessarily investing in yourself, but like investing with your money. So investing into the stock market or real estate. 10% of your paycheck that goes to them or to this. 10% might go to enterprise or entrepreneurship, your side hustle, whatever. This is pretty much where you use your skills and you do that to make more money from, whatever you put in. So if you have a skill of being able to like fix furniture really well, you use that money to buy furniture or buy something, fix it up, and then sell it for a bigger amount of money. You engage in free enterprise. That's something, or that's a bucket that you can use. Another one, which you might allocate 50% to, is your needs. So your needs like food, water, clothes, just the necessities to have the basic quality of life that you like need. It's not necessarily the things that you might want, like you may want to go out, or like go out to a party or like go out for eating or whatever. But these are just like your basic needs, like the things that you actually need to survive and have a basic quality of life. Next is your savings. I allocate 10% to this as well. Savings is a very important thing, something that I didn't appreciate until I actually ran into situations where I actually needed it, and I was very thankful that I had saved some money up. Pretty much in your life, in case you haven't already experienced these events, there are going to be events in your financial life where something unexpected is going to happen, whether your income stops or, some big expense comes up and you need some amount to you need something to be able to pay it off. This is where your savings comes into play. It's very important. And it's very nice to stop you from getting into these situations where you either need to take out a loan and go into a lot of unnecessary excessive debt at a crazy interest rate. You want to avoid those types of situations. This is why it's important to have a savings account. Other 10% is your wants. Very self-explanatory. It's not the things that you need or the things that are very important, but it's just the things that you want to do. You may want to go out with your friends. You may want to buy some drinks. You may want to do whatever you want to do. This is the money that you use for your wants. Now, the reason that I put them all into the buckets, and the percentages aren't the most important things. You can, if you're using this in your own life, you can change the percentages if you want it. It's just a basic guideline. But essentially, when you put your income into all these different buckets, and specifically different bank accounts, and if you actually implement it, it makes it so much easier to actually follow through with the budget plan that you have. Because again, if you're only looking at one bank account and you see, oh, hey, I have $500, of course I can buy this thing. It's so much easier to overspend when you have it like that. Versus if you have multiple different bank accounts and say, instead of having $500, you have only $250 in this account. You're like, oh, since I only have $250, maybe I shouldn't buy this. Maybe I should wait until I get a little more income, or I should, just shop around and see if I can find something cheaper, blah, blah, blah. Just having different buckets, different bank accounts, I found is very helpful. If you are going to implement this, in terms of having the different buckets, I highly do recommend that you do use different banks and not just use the same bank and try and math it in your head, because it just doesn't work. From personal experience, I wasn't able to do it, and it's just a huge headache. But even if your bank allows you to have multiple different accounts within the same thing, I don't even recommend that either, because I've tried to do that and it still doesn't work. Because if you're able to just, with the click of a few buttons, to be able to transfer the amount of money between accounts instantly, it doesn't have a big enough barrier to stop you from, making those instant transfers. Because again, the whole point of separating these into different accounts is to stop you from overspending in some certain thing. If I can just take from this account immediately, I'm just going to do that. Like, I'll be the first to raise my hand and admit I don't have that much financial self-discipline. So what I have to do is create a system that works based on my psychology and makes it harder for me to do dumb things and makes it easier for me to do the smart things that I want to do. So yeah, you want to go from being broke to having more financial abundance, increase your income. I'd highly recommend that you focus way more attention on skill than on using your money to make more money, which is like in the form of investments and like stock markets. I'm not saying don't do this, but it's just going to take way longer. And for most people, like if you don't have some like crazy disability or something, like if you spend enough time focusing on a skill and being able to market that skill, you're going to be able to make money from doing that if you just don't quit. For your expenses, again, to stop your expenses from eating away at you, it's very helpful to just split the income that you have into different allocations, because it just makes it easier for you to not overspend in just different areas. And that's mainly what I wanted to talk about in this video, because this information alone has helped me to go from being very much in debt to now being in a much better place, I'll say. And yeah, hope you got some value from this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and peace out.